that tries to deal damage. But she could be flexed here in the midfield as well and be perfectly fine, especially in CCL. And I think to be clear as well, right? Estelle's primary is an impact. It's going to benefit from these. So I think we're about to see a bunch of 50 caliber shots coming out from this Estelle as well. And I think that if you are the side of Auburn B, you're going to be a little scared. You do have that Juno, which I think, generally speaking, Juno is the most survivable character in the game, maybe barring Dubu. She has an invincibility, evade with her jump, right? She has a regular evades like she has it for any character. But also, as the midfielder, she has the highest stagger scaling in the game outside of, I believe, Dubu, Juliet, X, and Asher. So that's one look, or that's one pick there that you can do to counteract that. But if you're not playing around this is a team that will absolutely smack you around, as we're already seeing.
Yeah, it just nuclear bomb dropped on FG Nation's head immediately. And yeah, it's going to be tough. We've got the Vice in the back just dropping bombs. Everyone taking heavy impact except for the Juno. Going to have a much longer jump. Might actually be relevant in getting away. Just get to jump off, but unfortunately here, taken out already. The heavy impact coming out from Finny, I actually don't know what her impacts are, I'll be frank, but I think a lot of damage can come out onto the Centauro, really blow him up. The big weakness of the character been talked about a lot recently, but he just like takes chip damage really quickly. He's been hit twice and is at below half health and has to evade this triple take just to stay alive. And Cero here obviously piloting Zen really well, going to be putting it in right there off the back of that piercing shot. But I think that Auburn B has an opportunity here to stack the damage onto the Zen and take that guy out.
Yeah, especially as well, I think that, in this level of competition as well, I think damage is incredibly strong, right? It just can come out so fast, and I think that a lot of players who are not incredibly familiar with coordinated environments and stuff like that, I think they really disrespect sometimes the amount of damage that just can be pumped out in a matter of milliseconds, especially from teams like this. So we'll see if the side of Auburn is able to respond to this. That being said, right now we do have an open net for the side of Auburn B now, and defending pretty well right now. Not going to lose the barrier just right now. Sarah now going to rotate back, trying to KO FG Nation, who does have to blow that cooldown here in order to survive. Now the Oni's Blade's going to come out. FG Nation fully staggered now. No evade as well, should any damage come his way, but it's going to be Akira that's going to look to score here. Flip now burned from KBS. Black Hole immediately going to get popped here, allowing these open passing lanes. Flip from Cero, and it's just all too easy for the side of the NJIT Lowlanders. A second point goes their way.
Yeah, really, and I really appreciate what you said about players not really respecting damage. I think it sounds kind of dumb, but it's very true that damage, or learning to play into damage, is a very important skill. And I think that the sooner, like, if you want to get better at the game, if you're frustrated with damage, that's something that you have to think about a lot, because, like, it's time to introduce the melee idea. Just don't get hit. It's pretty real. A lot of players just walk around and take abilities, and I don't blame them, because you can sit there and be like, yeah, I've got health, I can take this. But I mean, look at Cero. He just took a couple abilities, and he is not playing anymore. He is in a different world, and sometimes you just gotta focus on not getting hit, dodging, and if you do that, like Cero just did, you could drop an awesome board flip and just, boom, 3-0 right there, bang.
Bang, yeah. Well-deserved MVP right now, and importantly, right, we see Stagger come out in this, right? We see that Spark of Resilience, right? Peak Performance, Stagger, Swagger. These are all survivability awakenings that can make sure that you don't die, especially, right? This Juno already has that innate tankiness with the Stagger, Swagger. Will actually be able to play into this damage pretty successfully, obviously, unless they walk into a lot of cooldowns. So overall, obviously, really good to get these Stagger awakenings, but that means there basically isn't any more left outside of the big fish, right? So the fact that all of them are given here up front could potentially be disastrous for the side of Auburn B should they not get access to this big fish, and because damage is always going to keep scaling. There are more damage awakenings than there are Stagger awakenings in the rotation, so we'll see if Auburn B is going to be able to survive the incoming onslaught here.
Yeah, definitely. The Stagger Swagger on their highest health character. It's actually, and not going to be coming in clutch there, but a big jump will be sniping the cross clear and putting it in. But as I was saying, Stagger Swagger, I think it's interesting. Juno caps out at 1825 Stagger, which is 75 below the likes of X and Asher. And ooh,
I died.
Yeah, and you sit here and you say like, yeah, Stagger Swagger increases your health linearly. You know who would like that? The guy with a little bit less stagger who's getting blown up right now. But that being said, FG Nation is a lot faster, getting that faster regen. You know, Stagger Swagger might be nice. More stagger means that you have that speed for longer, but I think the pick was definitely to just stay alive longer. It's still going to be incredibly useful. You know, one of the survivability awakenings, and with 2 stagger awakenings being picked by the enemy team, going to be tough to deal with. But going for a big play, FG Nation, I think, has the right idea. And while Cinder is just kind of sponging all the damage, I think they have an opportunity to get something done as long as Cinder can stay alive.
Yeah, absolutely right. Vice, that defensive goalie, should the Rasmus find himself in a 1v1 situation, absolutely can score. That being said, it's going to be a 2v3 here, favored towards the NJIT Lowlanders, and Akira instantly going to capitalize on that, has the flip, has the piercing shot, everything he needs to get through this Finny goalie, and that's going to be the NJIT Lowlanders evening up the set.
Yeah, blink in, big flip, right on the line. Really hard for Finny to deal with. Interesting, we don't see any melee goalies here. You know, the popular picks right now. Neither of them banned, so just not dealing with that at all, but a character like Atlas or Mako would just have a CD to deal with the core flip. Oh, there are no CDs that can save that. One big boom coming out for Ant, blowing up that Juno real quick. And it looks like NJIT isn't able to score in the power play, but still has a great opportunity, especially if they get this KO on Cinder. That being said, Zero has been oh, it's a bloodshed. Everyone's going down. Ant going for the big play. Uses a flip, burns KBS's flip. Oh no, I think lags out and is unable to save that. What a shame after it was such a big KO, such a big opportunity there. Really sad to see that point end like that.
No worries. We take one for the FG Nation here. Obviously, well played to secure that as well. But looking at what we have right now, Ant almost with a goal in his own right here with a supernova, nothing to be found. But it's going to be NJIT now on the defense. Nothing quite yet. Juno Slimes from FG Nation almost actually taking the goal himself, but nothing to be found. Now Sarah looking to end the point, get NJIT back into the set, but nothing found net as the power play ends. Akira going to play here on the defense. Cinder trying to find a few gaps in the defense of NJIT, but nothing really found just yet as that touch comes out. And looking to clear downside to Sero. Sero trying to get this clear here, able to find it, but it's going to be returned by FG Nation, who almost scores. The jump comes through, flip comes out from Sero just to keep the core alive now. And Cinder trying to march upfield potentially here as we get into overtime. Oh, the Juno Slime finds it, but not the angle that FG Nation wants here. Cinder able to get the core upfield with the use of that secondary. Nothing to be found just quite yet. Supernova comes through, doesn't find its target, but Cinder almost has the angle. Clear though from Ant. Gets intercepted by FG Nation, who closes out the set. Excellent play here from the side of Auburn B, and they're going to even up the game.
Yeah, really nice coverage by Auburn B. Cinder covering that bottom bumper, and FG Nation coming up to cover the top, catching that clear and sending it in. Now we're going to draft the Zentaro at the bottom, perfect form on the board. Honestly, most of these awakenings great for Zen, so not feeling too bad to be 6th pick, but the Fighter Flight going to be picked up by Cinder. Unlimited speed, looking really nice. He's going to pair well with the slick kicks. Perfect form being denied by KBS. Not doing any of that. And honestly, Finny, with the low CDs, just works with it well. Specialized is definitely going to be super scary coming out from Ant. The Vice, heavy impact Deadeye specialized training. Small amount of damage, you know. But FG Nation picked up 1-2 punch, and obviously that's a core speed awakening for Juno. That's a big game changer. We've seen these slimes put in a ton of work. So more of that is definitely going to give Auburn B a huge chance to pull ahead this game.
Agreed. That core speed from this Juno could potentially be devastating, especially with a slower midfielder like Estelle not able to really get to where she needs to be in order to intercept this play. But we'll see if that future is coming to pass. NJIT going to be on the offensive now, finally getting up into the goal net here from KBS, who is able to clear it. Now FG Nation and Cinder on the offensive. The Slime and the Pendulum Swing actually able to get the redirects that they need, and not able to defend here. Point one of the set could go the way of Auburn.
Yeah, 500 CDs coming right on the core, able to squeeze it past the Supernova. Really nice. Obviously, just really hard to defend with that ability. You know, it's a very big orb, but you've got to be able to time it just right to get through the enemy hits, or else something like that will happen. But Cinder looking low, actually dead, completely boomed. Cero taking him from one side of the field to the other. FG Nation looking like they're next. Both barriers down, a big flip, and it's a complete blowout from NJIT. You see just one KO is able to spiral into so much more, especially with how much damage they have on the board at a frighteningly dominant point coming out right there.
Agreed. KBS still with his flip, should he end up needing it. But right now, we're going to see that core speed from the Juno come out, immediately capitalize, taking one barrier. Flip now coming out from Ant. Going to be able to clear it there into the top side. One goalie barrier found in return by NJIT. Finds a KO as well for their troubles. Two now. A third might be coming for KBS, who is knocked out, and it's an ace coming out from the Lowlanders, playing to their name and playing low, playing dirty, and saying, hey, you don't have to play the core if there's no enemy team to play core strike with. We're just going to strike.
Yeah, and it's getting dirty on the field here. Like, you just don't see aces that often. You know, I suppose in recent days you don't see Zen Vice Estelle that often either, but, you know, here it is. And then subsequently here comes the ace. A lot of damage coming out. Just really, really tough. It's looking like an NJIT favored set here, and I wonder what Auburn B can do to get through it. Obviously, NJIT hasn't taken a KO yet, and they actually got both barriers now. This might be the win condition, is just hold on for as long as possible, because these past 2 points have just spiraled completely out of control. That being said, big Supernova, ton of staggered bars, but Cinder in the hospital bed strolls up and says, I can do this. I can tie up this game right here. Let me have my one. And bang. And tie it up he did. Here we are. Oh my god.
Yeah, final point of the set. Critical set as well. Right? Big Fish still, I think, not found here in the Awakening rotation, and Auburn gonna fight for that opportunity to get the much needed extra survivability in order to close out the game. Right now, they're also gonna be on the defense. FG Nation trying to get that final goal barrier, not gonna find it though. A Cinder now on the retreat here, gonna be knocked around by a bunch of cooldowns here coming from NJIT, but gonna keep himself here up and in the pitch. Unfortunately though, not gonna last forever, now gonna be taken out. FG Nation rotating back on the defense. The flip here is for Akira if needed, gonna whiff unfortunately, but the flip from Ant is there. Pass goes up, gonna be predicted by KBS now. NJIT gonna be on the defensive. Cinder marching his way forward, trying to find an opportunity to get the core. Sarah not able to find the core, the goal with the tip of his blade here. Not gonna find too much, but the Supernova specialized trading is there, gonna send Cinder right back into the timeout room. Sarah with another blick, looking amazing. Gonna finally take that last point in style, and after looking so good for Auburn, gonna be immediately swung back. NJIT are not going anywhere, and they're gonna take the third set.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. Just that one KO right there was able to give them all the offense they need. No brawler there trying to disrupt their play, and they could just completely sweep in. Gonna be picking up a Spark of Agility for Sarah. That's 2 sparks now, and with the Rezil in the back, that's already a ton of stagger coming out. Catalyst on Cinder is going to be really nice. Something I've noticed out of Auburn B is that over the course of this game, they've been making more of an effort to dodge abilities. There was a point where Cinder was standing in the corner as Sarah was trying to, you know, primary him off the map. Just getting really deep into the corner of that bumper to just avoid it. But I think the big thing that I'm noticing is that Auburn B isn't using evade a whole lot, other than like Vice ult comes out, which,
Yeah.
and so I think, especially with this Catalyst pick on Cinder, which can be a game changer, can literally win them the game right here, right now. I really want to see more of those evades, especially on big hits that they don't need to take. They're doing a good job now of trying to avoid the hits, but you got to be dropping the evades in order to just like avoid it altogether, stay alive. Here on the breakaway though, Cinder almost had it. And that being said, FG Nation is just getting beat up, has no energy in a really tough situation. Oh, but just a lot going on. Yeah, they are defending. FG able to get back. Cinder though, gone, unfortunately gone, and it's looking like an NJIT point.
No.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, good prediction from KBS, trying to get that the magic trick out, but not gonna find it, and it looks like NJIT going to be pulling away here after it seems like their damage builds are finally coming online, especially looking at that adrenaline rush from Ant. That's going to be so deadly, already going to get procced here about 5 seconds into the point. KVS looking to fend. Ant with the flip, able to win this 1v1, no problem. Cinder trying to play it slow, but he's going to pay for that with his life. An excellent card coming out from KBS to keep the core alive, but it only might be a matter of time. Sarah, with all the cooldowns, all the tools in the world, all the backup that he needs from his teammates, able to take that goal, no problem. And now we find ourselves all of a sudden NJIT here on the potential final point of the game.
Yeah, we see a lot of energy. A double barrier. This might just be it. It's looking rough. We might even see this flip, put it in right here. Now too deep, but a great blink forward, almost got it in with the strike primary. No energy on Akura here, but Sero just on the breakaway. Tons of energy, actually generating it at an alarming rate. Close to flip. And I think that Sero's flip could put it in. Both barriers down though. Oh, but a big KO, big boom. And this is just looking so NJIT favored.
Yeah, FG Nation, though, double dash awakening Juno, able to be anywhere on the map anytime, and KBS, a good save here to keep the point alive. Sarah, though, with a flip, you have to survive this if you want any hope, and it's going to be FG Nation's Slime that is going to find his Cinder back on the pitch, but immediately might just find himself flying off of it in a second here if he's not too careful. Sarah able to find possession of the core. The Oni Blade comes out, not finding the goal that he wants, as now the core goes the way of NJIT. Overtime is here. Juno with a 1-2 punch, sending the core really, really fast, but not able to score the goal. Ant gonna find himself clearing upwards here. It's gonna be Akira's turn to potentially get the goal here. Flip comes out from Cinder, goes up. Ant able to react in time here. The core is flying back and forth in the overtime. Juno not getting the core speed that he needs to get past the enemy midfielder. Sero now playing interception as well. And once again with possession of the core, trying to march it upfield. Nothing again to be found. It's going back and forth here in the overtime. Cinder, though, potentially with a breakaway, not able to close it out. KBS now with a flip on this defense, looking to potentially steal the point, but it's going to be FG Nation. Wow. The core speed from this 1-2 Juno, catching the rotations of NJIT a little bit off guard here. And that's going to be a point stolen away here by Auburn.
Yeah, really. Just able to capitalize on Ant, not ejecting back in time. A wide open net, able to take it, but a big KO coming out from Sero. Flip burned by KBS. Barriers down. NJIT is looking to take it all with the slice and dice right on top of the no evade goalie. It's your textbook play, the bread and butter Zentaro special, but not the moves Zentaro special, you know. And NJIT Lowlanders are going to be taking game one.
Yeah, absolutely. They had a game plan, and quite frankly, they stuck with it, and that was all she wrote, right? They had a very clear game plan. Hey, it's a heavy impact start. We're going to take the two characters that use heavy impacts really well to deal damage, the Vice and the Zentaro, and we're going to curb stomp them. And curb stomp them they did, right? With that backup from the Estelle from Akira as well, right? Able to provide all that damage. I mean, just look at those numbers, right? 30k from Ant, 21k from Akira, 27 from Sero, and just to check for my sake, that was an 18-minute game, right? These guys are averaging over 1,000 damage a minute, right? That includes drafting time, kickoff time, stuff like that. So the actual DPS from these guys probably going to be well over 1,000 coming out of this game. And when that happens, right, what can you do other than press evade and pray? And unfortunately for the side of Auburn, right, they were just on the receiving end of that. I think a really good Valiant defense. We saw some great plays coming out from KBS, FG Nation, and Cinder all together, right? They were able to sneak some points through, right? Take a set even, but that was just an onslaught. It really felt like they didn't have an answer to that damage, and that's something that they're going to have to consider because they're just one bad awakening roll from having to deal with that again.
Yeah, really 19 KOs coming out from NJIT. And really, I think that what we saw there was a battle of chip damage, where Estelle, Queen of Chip Damage, shows up, drops like a beam somewhere, and then all of a sudden, especially on that heavy impact start, like you're just big time chunked, and you never want to be big time chunked. Let me tell you what, just really tough spot. We also saw a lot of very explosive KOs coming out from Sero, who would just catch people on the edge, dash punch them on Zentaro, which you don't see very often, but again, heavy impact, you can just do whatever you want. They just let you do that. And Vice, of course, with 500 damage awakenings, sometimes you pop an ult or just a secondary, and it's enough to explode someone. And so it takes a level of awareness to play against these things that's already difficult to achieve, because you get on the field and you're like, I look at core. The core is this is what the game is about. I got to hit that thing.
Yeah.
And then, you have to be conscious of Estelle is downfield aiming a missile at my dome. This will be bad if I take it.
Yeah.
And it's just that all the time, and it's really difficult to play into, which again is why damage is so potent at this kind of level of play, is that you can just catch people off guard, and all of a sudden, again, a downfield ability coming straight for you is not what you're looking at. You're looking at the core. So it's really, really tough to manage all of these things at once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely agreed. I don't think we have the draft up for the next game just quite yet, but like that's a perfect form start potentially, right? Heavy impacts. We just saw specialized training, heck, extra special, right? Any of those pop up and it might be dangerous.
I have
We
I have
might have
terrible news for everything that you just started saying. It's a Spark
it's-
Resilient start. It could not be further from that. And if you're Auburn B, I'm sitting here. Oh, we're so back. Don't have to do that again. We're banning Zentaro. Get that out of my game right now. Just none of that. Siege Machine is there too. No comments.
Yeah.
It's an awakening in the game.
Yep, it's an awakening in the game, and it's competing against a Spark. So I think that if anyone takes it, it's probably not the perfect option, right? Even if you are a character that wants to take it, remember, if you don't take that awakening is going to show up in draft anyways if no one takes it, right? So even if you do want to play that rune, even if you want to play that IMU, which has been banned out, admittedly, you just don't pick it and hope no one else picks it, and you might get your be able to have your cake and eat it too, right? Spark's such a strong start, right? Allows you to snowball into that 3 Spark kind of Exodia, right? By round 2, you could force a deny. You have such a draft advantage if you all end up taking it, and like not everyone on the enemy team takes it, right? So 9 times out of 10, unless it's a really, really attractive separate choice, I end up just clicking that Spark Start. It just makes so much sense, right? It's so much utility, so many ways that you could go and draft, right? It just makes sense, right? And as well, something to consider as well, we're going to be playing on nothing, nowhere else other than the Splashdown itself, right? For game number 2. And I do want to reiterate the stakes of this game. Both these teams find themselves 1-2, right? We are basically I think we're already halfway in the season, right? If you lose this game, right, you need to hit that 4-3 cutoff in order to make playoffs. So even though you aren't at the cliff just quite yet, losing this series takes you a ticket to to that final, that final cliff side, essentially, where if you lose another series after that, you're done. Your series is going to be over come the end of Swiss. So if you are the Lowlanders, you will be looking to keep yourselves alive, keep yourselves pretty, keeping that 3 strikes for yourself should you need them. And if you are the side of Auburn B, you're a bit worried if coming out of game 1. If you lose this one, then you're going to be at the edge. Every single series for the rest of the season becomes a must-win, and that's going to be stressful. So this is a pretty big game for both teams. We'll see if they bring their A game to it. So we get in here, and as I load in, that is 5 Sparks Awakenings alongside a Siege Machine for KBS's Finning.
Yeah, gonna be nice having that Siege Machine. Gonna be very nice. We see a little bit of an interesting character swap. We saw Luna banned last game, but now being played by Ant-C here, full force. Getting in there, too. The Juno picked away by NJIT, and I have to wonder if that was to not let FG Nation, who was high-key chefing it up on the character, not have that. Now on the Vice, which was being played by Ant in the previous game. A lot of wacky shenanigans, but I have to wonder how the Vice is going to perform on such an open map. You know, Vice, midfield, just generally kind of a weird pick. Getting a barrier right there, bang, but not known for performing super well on open maps. But highest of keys, Inkies,
ABS
has a lot of shenanigans going on. And so, you know, you can just pull things like that. I'm looking right now for big KOs, a lot of damage coming out from Vice, because a lot of times you can be standing on those walls on this map, or in the corner trying to defend the bumper. Then when it goes down, Vice can just unload a couple abilities and boom someone, and you can die in that corner, you know?
Yeah. KBS, also really good play. Want to acknowledge that. That was an insane card here, but also an insane power chord from FG Nation now opening up the net, and all of a sudden, the NJIT Lowlanders find themselves at a 2-0 disadvantage. We're like 30 seconds into this game, and it's already going to be Auburn looking to retaliate after game number 1 here.
Yeah, this was their map pick, you know, Auburn Splash Zone.
Oh,
it might be.
yeah.
and they're looking good on it. Well, so...
Oh.
well...
Hey, Cass is first.
Yeah, that's a brawler with Flip who got the barrier early. Sometimes you got to give it to them. That's actually something I think is really interesting. We see a lot in high-level Mega Strikers play is a team will 2-0 and then drop a point just because the enemy has a lot of energy advantage. You see it a lot because you use your energy to, you know, get the 2-0 comfortably, but then you just drop that point because enemy has more flips, and you're like, well, that's just gonna happen. And it does happen a lot. You know what else happens? The Luna from downtown jumping in on the held slime there, putting it right in, and taking us to a 2-2. Sometimes you drop 2 points when you're up 2-0, and things start to get a little scary.
Yeah, absolutely, especially, right? Points and Inkies could end in a second. That being said, huge energy advantages here for the side of Auburn B. They are going to be the ones with Flip first in such a critical moment. KBS looking to get it clear, able to get a nice clear through the center here against the 2 forwards of the Lowlanders. Sarah, though, able to win a critical strike war, and now you are down that barrier. The Inky Splash Zone might be claiming one very soon. Sarah with a strike forward, and trying to get that clear downward, not going to find it, though. It's right now Sarah in a 1v1, going to be cleared downwards by KBS. The splash is here, a great triple take, predicting the path of the core, able to buy precious few more moments, but those moments might just be a power play for the side of the NJIT Lowlanders. Unfortunately, a little bit of miscommunication here from the 2 forwards means that FG Nation might have a chance to make his way back. Flip comes out from KBS. Sarah not able to intercept the strike, and gonna lag out and lose the barrier as we get into overtime here. Sarah, though, with the flip, not even gonna need it, though. An insane angle coming out from Akira here. Gonna find that demon angle with those slimes, and that's gonna be a close first set, going the way of NJIT Lowlanders.
Yeah, insane overtime Juno Slime, tapping it in on the demon angle right there. And I think we're seeing shades of last game with these KOs. And it brings us back to the idea of don't get hit. And I think the big water cannon, obviously, is the biggest example of a don't get hit. Because, uh-oh, you are now dead if you get hit by that. But again, just we're seeing people get staggered, you know, getting KO'd with energy. And these are things, there are just so many things to manage. But if you're able to focus, take a deep breath, and say, okay, I'm going to, like, not walk into the Juno Slime on kickoff. Gonna have to evade that big nuclear bomb. I didn't even see what happened to Sarah, but that guy is already limping off and dead and gone. And, like, you just can't let that happen. It's hard. It's really hard. But you have to watch out for that.
Yeah, the misdirection from Finney, I believe the card is what took him out there. KBS playing this Finney pretty well, I'd say. Piloting has access to this Deadeye here, and Sarah as that Kazan, right? You have that built-in evade to your kit, which is obviously very useful, but lacking that, you're a fairly squishy character. If you do not respect some of those long-range artillery barrages that this Finny can send out, you might find yourself in a precarious situation. That being said, you are also a Kazan with prime time, and should you find yourself in those 1v1 situations, it's almost certainly going to be curtains for the Finny.
Yeah, and let me tell you, prime time, my beloved. Me, when I have 4 abilities, and now I have 6 abilities. You know, just like the math says it all. That's insane. But having 2 hooks especially is so useful because like that, like the hooks are just such good abilities, you know?
Yeah, agreed. And Cinder used it to absolutely perfect effect there, right? Getting a quick second goal. Inkies claiming yet another sub 20-second goal for the side of Auburn B, but they've been here before, up 2-1, and unfortunately, in Omega Strikers, you do have to close out the set, which is what Sero will be looking to prevent. Ant now able to provide some offensive support to his forwards, but it's not going to pay off, unfortunately. Akira, though, still with the cooldowns. Flip comes out here from Ant, is able to march it upfield. Sarah finally getting the barriers now. The splash zone is officially here once that button spawns in, but it's going to be a 2v1 situation. Finny versus the world. The flip here from Akira, not even going to be needed. Sero able to find the gaps in the armor, able to put that core into the bottom side of the net. Again, we find ourselves evened up here on set number 2.
Yeah, just going back and forth on these points. Super scary, but for Auburn, looking to get a set, you know, tie up the game, get there. Gonna have to do something about Akira's flip here, but unfortunately unable to. The flip is going to be taking the barrier. A ton of slimes in the top side. A lot of damage on Cinder. And Sarah, with full control of the core, able to just dribble it off the cannon and then win the strike war against FG Nation to put it in the bottom corner. NJIT starting to run away with this game after it looking so good for Auburn in these early points.
2 reverse sweeps, and looking at these awakenings, I believe that every Spark's going to show up, so it's going to be a little bit of Spark Fest. Yeah, Sarah not even trying to get himself a piece of the pie. Unfortunately, that 2 Spark breakpoint isn't going to do it, so just electing to get a great stat on Kazana instead, size, right? So we are going to see the cooldown, and Spark City is coming out from his fellow teammates, but overall, honestly, other than this explosive entrance and this size is built different, I think that wasn't an all too exciting draft, honestly, right? I'm going to be looking at Sero, already a dominant force in these strike wars, right? Able to close out that last set basically by himself because of the strike wars. On top of that, right, the prime time going to be disastrous. That being said, Cinder ignores all of that, of course. We got a 9-second point here on the splash zone, and it wouldn't be an Inky splash zone game without it. So, hey, you take that.
Yeah, banger coming out from Cinder on the strike war against the hook, just putting it in. But I'm looking at all of these, all the awakenings picked up here, and a lot of sparks coming out, a lot of 2 spark Bellas, but I'm looking at Sero's build, and honestly, like, prime time, size, and then some survivability on Kazan is like a top 3 build for the character. Because, bang, size is awesome, your hooks are so much bigger, you have more of them, you got more of the open primary, which is just super useful for KOing staggered targets or just putting on damage. Sometimes you get bored, and you have 2 of them, so might as well just you crunch someone up. Only thing I think is missing is like 1-2 punch, start cheesing kills with the open primary off the edge, or just doing some, you know, dark core speed technology with hook strike. But otherwise, just I don't know how Auburn is going to deal with Sero. I guess they have been this whole time, you know, but like, then that happens.
Yeah.
Then the big hook comes. You know, the hooks. And he's just going to put it in the bottom corner, kind of uncontested.
Yeah, and Sero looking like he's running away with the game. Feels like a one-man army that Auburn B are looking to defend themselves against. And that's a way to defend him through that damage. But as soon as you ignore him, Akira is going to be there in order to do the work himself. Hook comes out, almost scores a goal again here. Flip comes out from both forwards of NJIT, and that's all they need to sink that core into the bottom side of the net. Yet again, it's going to be NJIT 1 series away from keeping their season looking incredibly healthy.
Yeah, something that I just saw.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and what I just saw is Sero, yeah, tearing up that barrier, getting real scary. FG Nation taking a ton of damage too. Looking to score here, the cannon coming out, but Sero with the ball, able to just put it in the top corner, and And that's going to be that. NJIT escaping their fate of going 1-3. Unfortunately, sending Auburn B to that very fate. But going 2-2 now, still has that buffer throughout the season and might be looking to turn their season around.
Yeah, absolutely, right? 2-2 record here, halfway through the season. Not too shabby. It means that you do have that extra padding going into the end of the season. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Auburn B, who find themselves taking a one-way paid vacation to the trip to the cliff sides, where they are going to be one series away at any point from being knocked out of playoffs. So, again, absolutely well played to the side of NJIT. We saw some fight coming out from Auburn B, right? Shout out to KBS, some amazing clears. Cinder with 9-second goals, right? Respectable 3+2, and FG Nation with some amazing plays here out in the midfield, but unfortunately, it just was not enough. Cerro, I think, absolutely tore it up in this second game here, right? Look at that performance, right? 7+1 goals, most redirects in the game. And on top of that, most damage or second most damage on Kazan, right? Just to have it, right? But mainly just he was a machine that turned in cores into scored cores, and it really felt like he was able to take over the game, especially once he got that his hands on that built different and that prime time. It really felt like KBS had just too many options to cover.
Yeah, really, just Cerro was everywhere doing everything, unstoppable, like you said, one-man army, invincible creature, and that's what the Kazan does, really. That's a very 1v9 character. You can show up and kind of do it all, especially with that Spark of Resilience start. There was just not a whole lot of threat to that guy's life. So, one of the biggest weaknesses of the character removed, you're pretty free to just operate in the dark circles of Hook Strike, and I'm gonna jump up. There was a part in that second to last point where, and I think this is what happened, and I think I learned something new. Sarah was standing on the orb, used the open secondary to jump up before the orb had spawned, and then jumped away after the orb spawned. I believe KBS also stood on the orb and took it as it came up. And it looked like Sarah picked up the orb while in the air. And I can only assume that that's how it worked, but really, really interesting. A little bit of Kazan tech for anyone writing that down. A free evade, you don't have to spend yours. And just a little bit of mastery coming out from Sarah. Again, things that I didn't even know pulling out there. Just the Dark Kazan Cabal works in mysterious ways, and they know secrets that we don't.
Absolutely, dark magic's coming out from Sarah, and we'll see if that ancient wizardry is going to be able to carry the NJIT Lowlanders into success later in the season. But that being said, it's time to head out. We've had some 3 great series here coming out from all across the CCL, and there's going to be more coming up next week. That being said, though, we're at the end of our day. We're at the end of our stream here over at Bestie and Slot. But if you want to see some more CCL, it's going to be here this time next week, like clockwork. But unless, Yoshi, you have any parting comments, I'm going to head on out of here, and I'll wish the rest of you guys a wonderful rest of your evening.
Nope. Bye. 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 Bye.